friends, welcome to An Udder Words with Lacey P., your Dairy West Farmer Relations Manager. On today's episode, we will be talking to our CEO, Carrie Ann Fallow. Welcome, Carrie Ann.
Lacey, thanks for having me. It's so good to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on our podcast today and to really dive in and learn a little bit more about our partnerships. So my first question for you is, why are partnerships so important for Dairy Checkoff and Dairy West?
Yeah, well, Lacey, as you know, and hopefully most of our farmers know, one of our 5 strategic objectives is partnerships for the impact. And we believe that to fulfill our mission of inspiring trust in dairy and dairy farming and to build demand for our dairy products around the world, we can't do it alone. We need to work with partners to make that happen. So, we seek partners who have significant influence among audiences with whom we want to connect. That might be students, it could be athletes, moms who make purchasing decisions for their families. So we are always looking for partners who can make an impact with those audiences. Our partnerships right now range from, universities to health professionals, from retailers to athletes. We work with food banks, we work with schools, coaches, doctors and nurses, and that's not unusual. Our Checkoff Federation, or our system across the country, really values these partnerships because of the greater impact we can make on behalf of the farmers. I wanted to share our national partner, DMI, Dairy Management Incorporated, moved to a partnership model some years ago with companies like McDonald's, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut. And through those partnerships, they've been able to grow dairy demand by 3% a year, year over year. Without those partners, we would have to find other ways to move products. So it has served the farmers well, I think, both from a local and regional standpoint, as well as a national standpoint. And in our region, Dairy West is working with the organizations that we have found in partnership to build, to grow trust and build demand for our products. At the end of the day, Lacey, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And I totally believe that for Dairy Checkoff.
Wow, Carrie Ann, I think that these partnerships sound very important. And I'm wondering, can you describe an utterly high quality partnership?
It's utterly fun to talk about partnerships. We do seek partnerships that bring a high level of quality to the relationship. We want to work with organizations who deliver high levels of excellence, who make impacts on behalf of their clients or constituents and on behalf of dairy farmers. We prefer partnerships where our partners are continually thinking about how they can do things better and different for farmers, and ultimately help us increase that trust in dairy farming and dairy products, and then build demand.
Yeah, those sound like great partnerships. So what expectations do you have for our partners?
Well, Lacey, you work for me, I have lots of high expectations, and that goes to partnerships as well. We want to work with organizations and people who share values with our farmers, right? Who are respectful, who care about the cows, the land, the communities in which we live and work. So sharing values is really important. We also want to work with organizations and people who care about the prosperity of our farmers and the interests of our farmers. I demand big accountability. We don't just, we've moved far away from transactional relationships and more toward partnerships that deliver both ways. We want our partners to benefit from the partnership as much as we expect to benefit. And we also want partners who will be creative, think big, and try new and different things with us, to make those impacts. And we evaluate these partners all the time, Lacey. I mean, our team is constantly trying to figure out, are we working with the right organizations and people? And if we're not, how do we either help those folks improve within the partnership, or, sometimes partnerships sort of fill their mission and it's time to move on. And so we look for potentially new organizations to meet the growing kind of work we're doing. For example, right now with the hire of Marissa Watson, we are looking at those partners that can help us tell the story of sustainability in the dairy, across the dairy supply chain. And so we'll be looking for new partners, and we'll also express to them how important the two-way partnership is.
Carrie-Ann, I've always admired your high expectations. I think having those for our partners is really important as well for our team. So why is this so important now? Why do we need to focus on these partnerships?
We focus on these partnerships all the time. Like I said, we're doing sort of a continuous improvement of our relationships all the time. I think the timing is so good for you and I to be talking today, because at our July board meeting, we will have a number of our partners present to talk about how the partnership has either inspired trust or grown demand. Let me share what those are, if I could. We'll start out in the morning with a representative from Meadow Gold. And Meadow Gold is an important partner because we work closely with them to make sure that we are fulfilling school milk contracts, and that they are doing it with the most with a level of stewardship that we want them to do business with. So I'm super excited. Meadow Gold was recently acquired by Dairy Farmers of America. And so I think the representative will talk about how that is going, internally for them, and the new improvements that they'll be making. So that's great. We'll have Krista Harden, who's the CEO of the U.S. Dairy Export Council, and she's going to talk about the work they're doing to grow U.S. dairy exports and demand around the world. There's some really exciting things happening, particularly as it relates to cheese consumption in Southeast Asia. So I'm excited about that. And then we'll have representatives from Dairy Gold, which is a Northwest co-op, and they have been our partners for many years, but we've accelerated that in the last couple of years to help them grow some international work and increase the marketing and merchandising of improve the marketing and merchandising of their Fit Milk, which is a newish product to the market. So they're going to report out to us because, as I said, accountability is very important. So they'll report out to the board and share their journey and share the deliverables from those projects. So it's really exciting. And I'm just, I'm always glad to talk if farmers have ideas for new partnerships. We're willing to explore as long as those partnerships kind of align with the things I've talked about here this morning.
Well, I've really enjoyed learning more about our partnerships and how they work. And I'm excited for the board meeting where we'll get to meet some of those partners and hear more about the work that they're doing. So thanks for joining us and teaching us more about partnerships, Carrie-Ann.
Well, thanks, Lacey. Always good to be with you and our farmers. And I hope to share more as questions arise.
Great. Thank you. Well, that's all for our episode today on In Udder Words. Go out and milk your day for all it's worth.